Hi there, welcome back. I hope that you're doing okay. Now I'm sitting in our garden decking area today, which I have shown very briefly on some of my other videos, but I've had a few questions about our garden decking, so I thought I'd bring all the information together into one video, and hopefully if you're planning your own decking design or your own DIY decking project in the UK or even further afield, then this YouTube video about decking will help you. First things first, you might be wondering what the best wood or timber for decking is. Now, in our opinion and from our research, actually it's best to go for composite. Now, at the beginning of this project, I would never have considered composite decking because I had an idea that it was something that looked quite naff, looked quite plasticky, and I just thought it was totally out of the question. But once someone had mentioned it to me and I started to do our research, I actually discovered that it's much more of a viable option than it was a few years ago. Some of the products on the market now are so authentic, I think it's really hard to actually tell the difference look-wise between composite and between real wood, but it comes with lots of other benefits too. For example, it's really easy to maintain, so with wood and timber decking you're going to have to stain that probably each year. It's going to take some cleaning, it's going to take some general maintenance work, whereas composite decking, of course, you've got to give it a little clean each year. Having said that, we haven't really cleaned ours in the year since we've had it down, but there's a lot less work involved, and also you don't get issues like splintering that you can get from the decking, from timber decking, because that tends to degrade much more quickly than composite decking is. So composite decking is a really good option if you're looking for something that's durable and that's minimal maintenance, which is always quite high up on our list, because who wants to spend their lives maintaining things if they don't have to? Definitely not us. Another absolutely major factor that is a plus point for composite decking as well is its slip resistance. So composite decking is a much more slip resistant than timber alternatives, which you have to treat, and they tend to just become quite slippery in the winter and once they start to build the algae and so on them. So we haven't had any slip issues with this composite decking at all, and it's done a whole full 4 seasons, so it's definitely winning from that perspective from our point of view. When it came to actually choosing which composite decking we wanted, we ordered a few samples from the internet. The one that we went for in the end is the smart board decking. Now apparently composite decking, there are more companies coming onto the market doing this now, but it's in really high demand. So if you're looking for cheap decking, you're not necessarily going to get a bargain with the good ranges of these now, because when we found this grey smartboard decking, they said they were literally selling out of it as soon as they got it in. There's a really high demand for it. Some of the brown colours I think were slightly less popular, but a lot of people have got these kind of palettes now with the whites and the greys. It took us a little while to choose the colour, but we're really happy with this colour. It hasn't faded at all so far either, so that's good. But what I did do when I got the samples was I did a bit of a durability test, so I tried scratching them all up, and this is the one that came out best. Obviously it wasn't a scientific study, but things inevitably do get dragged across decking even if you're really careful, and our kids actually dragged. We had a big seat on here that we've now moved somewhere else in the garden, but they decided they wanted to move it one day and dragged it across, which did cause a little bit of scratching, but I think this one is more forgiving than some of the other brands in our experience. So because we've got a drop down onto our garden, the first thing we had to do when we were sorting out our decking design was actually design and build a frame. So we've got a timber frame on which our decking is based, and we've actually reinforced this with some brick pillars as well. And the other reason that we wanted to have our decking on a frame was because we've got the bifold doors, and we wanted to achieve that all-important level access between our kitchen and the deck itself, so it became like an outdoor room. So at the same time as we were building the frame, we decided also to build a brick planter for our plants. So that's going in front of the fence, and that's going to kind of frame the decking area basically. And we've gone for a slatted fence because basically we felt that it would be too vulnerable to the wind to have a solid fence there. So that obviously means that it doesn't completely conceal us from a privacy perspective. So therefore having a nice big planter in front of it enables us to
basically sort that issue out through using lots of plants, and as they get established, that's starting to happen really well. We've put loads of different stuff in there. We're really enjoying filling up the planter, and we've got something to keep us entertained throughout. Things are becoming out right from spring, and they will do right through until autumn, so we're really enjoying that. Things like the long grasses work really well. We've got lots of contrast, and we're just having fun experimenting. Of course, the star of the show is the majestic banana plant. That's faring really quite well, getting scarily big actually, but it's looking all right on the whole. Some of the leaves are getting a little bit shredded, unfortunately, from the wind, but soon enough you get a new strong leaf unfurling, and it looks really great. So we love that. And the nice surprise about the banana plant is that it has babies. So we've been getting some little mini banana plants growing alongside it. So we've been able to move them elsewhere into the garden, and they're getting quite quickly established as well. They also make nice gifts. So we're loving that. And of course, the one thing we mustn't forget about the banana plant is to wrap it up in winter, because they are a bit vulnerable to the frost.
So when it comes to laying the decking boards themselves, obviously you're attaching them onto the frame that you've built underneath, so you need to make sure your frame is in the right place that's going to take all of the boards. For us, because we've done a raised deck, we had to think about waterproofing the area underneath as well, because we wanted to use it for storage. So we've actually used a pond liner, and we've lay that basically underneath where we put the decking boards. The next thing that you have to think about is making sure that you get all of your decking boards obviously completely in line, with an equal distance in between them. So you can use spacers to do that, just the same kinds that you would use for tiling. So we picked up some of those, and we had to use them the whole way across. The most labour intensive part of building decking is attaching all of these decking boards to the frame. That takes quite a long time, and the other challenge with that is making sure that you get them all in a straight line, because you don't want to then see the screws in a wonky line. Even though the screws are the same colour as the decking, we used the ones that were specified by the decking board makers. They match in really nicely, so they don't show too well, but also they're designed not to rust and to last as well, so that was definitely well worthwhile. We then just used this square to make sure that we had all of the screws lined up as we went. One of the downsides or the disadvantages of composite decking, and we haven't really found many, is that they do get quite hot, but in much the same way as patio slabs, like this for us has replaced a patio, get quite hot as well. But sitting down here now on a day where it's about 26 degrees, I've had to actually sit on this because it was burning me to sit directly on the decking, so it's worth being aware of that. In terms of where you buy your composite decking from, you probably want to shop around a bit. We found it for a reasonable price on eBay in the end. As I said before, composite decking definitely isn't in the first instance the cheapest decking option, but I think when you weigh up the cost of maintaining other decking long term in terms of your time, the products that you have to buy to maintain it and so on, then actually in the long term composite decking doesn't work out as expensive as you may first think. When it comes to accessorising your decking and the design of your decking in general, there are options galore to choose from. There's never any shortage of these kind of options for buying outside. What we've done is taken our rug from the indoors and just brought that outdoors. It works quite well out here as well, and when it gets a bit hot underfoot on the decking, it solves that issue as well. We've got the white chairs. They're actually from IKEA. I've had loads of compliments about these chairs, and we picked them up right at the beginning of the summer, and we really love them. The cushions are actually from Poundland, because I thought cushions outside are probably going to get trashed quite easily. They look quite nice, they work quite well, they were a bit of a surprise find. We've also got a bench that we've had forever that was down at the end of the garden. We gave that a lick of paint so that it matched and blended in with everything else, and popped that up here. What I've got on the bench at the moment, because I haven't managed to get hold of any bench seating for the moment, or bench padding, cushioning, is a couple of bath mats. But they work quite well. They just make it a bit softer to sit on, and they're quite durable as well. We've got a couple of plants that sort of sit inside outside that we've brought out as well. But there's never any shortage of things to buy for your deck, I can assure you. The outside deck rugs and patio rugs are quite nice as well. There's a big selection of those. I thought they were all quite expensive for something that you're not going to use for the whole year round, so we've just decided to be a bit more versatile with what we've got going. We've also got a bit of a vegetable and herb garden area on our decking, and that needs a little bit of attention. But the great thing about being able to put things up here on this deck is that they don't get absolutely hammered by the slugs in the same way as some of the things do in the garden. Lighting, of course, is also a very important option for all outdoor areas these days. So we've got some solar lighting. The past couple of years, the solar lighting seems to have really come on and got a lot cheaper and more affordable as well. So we've got about 3 different solar lighting streams. wrapped around our decking in various areas, and they do look really, really pretty. And we've got that lovely little peacock that was a birthday gift as well, and that comes alight at night. The kids absolutely love that, and it's just kind of hidden away in the plants, and it's really pretty. So we're loving our decking lighting as well. Our neighbours have done the same thing for quite a few doors down, so there's a bit of a river of light in the evening, which is really nice. One final point about designing garden decking, if you are perhaps designing your decking at the moment and it might be part of a house renovation or an extension project for you, is make sure, if you can, that you have level access, which basically means from the room which you're attaching and connecting the decking to the outdoors, you don't have a change in the height, so you can just stroll out. People aren't likely to fall and trip where they have to adjust to the height, and it gives you that one continuous space and that feel of a big room as well. So this then becomes a bit more of a sort of outdoor room, which is really lovely as well. So that's all for today. I hope that you enjoyed our video about designing decking in the UK. If you're new here, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe and hit that bell notification button. I post lots of videos about renovation and extension work and home improvement in general, so I'd love to see you again. If you enjoyed this video, as ever, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to come back soon. Bye bye for now.